Lisa Legros will present us challenges of fire service in Belgium. Lisa Legros is a captain at the Brussels Fire Brigade and also responsible for the specialized hazmat team. She's a commanding officer on the field and also an administrative officer for the specialized hazmat team. She's a university graduate from the Polytechnical Department with a Master of Science in Chemistry and Engineering. She joined the fire service as an officer trainee in 2012, and she specialized in the management of operations with dangerous goods. Since Belgium was one of the first countries to develop special procedures for firefighters, I think we are looking forward for her presentation. Lisa, are you with us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I will start. Can you see my, oh.
Yes.
Wait 1 second. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see. Continue, thank you.
Okay, so hello everybody. I will share with you how Brussels Fire Brigade is dealing with COVID-19. I can only speak for the fire brigade from Brussels because we are 34 fire and rescue services and different ways of dealing with COVID-19. So I can speak only for Brussels. Just to begin, I can say that we didn't have any support of efficient coordination from the government. So we were like alone since day one to deal with that, and a lot of fraud and a lot of mistakes and so on. So just to put a little bit of context, we have 1.2 million inhabitants in the capital and more than 300,000 workers, and for an area of 162 square kilometers. So we have a lot of European Council, Commission, and so on. So it's a lot of people here. For the fire brigade of Brussels, we are dealing with fire, of course, but we also provide ambulances, and it's most part of our job is ambulances. So our firefighters are also ambulances. We work with 160 firefighters, 70 firefighters on duty, split into 9 stations all around Brussels, 1 headquarter and 8 satellite stations. So it's a lot of people. We have 11 engines, 7 ladders, and 30 ambulances every day to protect Brussels population. So with COVID, we start in March 20 with a few COVID cases per day. So we start with standard procedure to disinfect the ambulances, like a cartridge in ambulance, and you have to wait like 1 hour or a little bit more to disinfect. But when the number start to increase, it was a problem because we cannot afford to have a lot of ambulances out of order like that. So the ambulances department asked for help in our department, so the hazmat department. And we, like in the whole country, we adapt a little bit our daily life. So you can see here in the morning, we adapt with social distancing. So we had to do a lot of arrangements, like where the people can sleep and so on, because we had a lot of small spaces. So mask on, it was very early that we start to take that. So mask was obligatoire. You have to put a mask on. In daily life, the non-essential training during the multiple waves were shut down, so we can use the recruits to reinforcing the different companies. And we adapt the protection in the field, so we started to send people with full PPE in ambulances. So, like I said, the ambulance department asked for our help because they cannot deal with the disinfection of the ambulance anymore alone. So why the hazmat? Because they are used to undressing drills and they are used to disinfection in general. So we started with our really available means. So it was like that, a tent, and so something like that. So that was our first line, disinfection line. And then we really we arrived at this kind of situation with a traffic of our ambulances. A lot of ambulances were waiting to be disinfected, and so it was a big problem because we had a lot of ambulances out of duty for several hours. So we had to duplicate the lines. So it's what we did. And we started to evolve a little bit. So we replaced the tent for container, more professional container, more easy to wash, more easy to heat, and so on. And so it was the first evolution of our lines. We disinfect people like vehicles, of course, and the vehicles were not disinfected by the ambulanciers themselves because they had a lot of missions. So it was not possible that they have to disinfect like 30 times for a shift their own ambulances. So it was done by another firefighter. So like I said, we have to duplicate the line. So it is another lines in another station, a satellite station in Brussels. And because of that, we were able to reduce a little bit the time of out of service ambulance because they were more reachable everywhere in Brussels. So it was really basics, but nothing more was needed. And that's just a little look at the number of daily disinfections. So as you can see, we had more than 80 average disinfection per day, per shift, so in 24 hours. And our maximum was 100 disinfection. So it's a lot because we have only 30 ambulances. So it is really a lot per day to deal with. So one of the advantage was because of the lockdown, we had a reduction of firefighting missions by approximately 40%. So it means that we had a lot of people available to run the disinfection line. So it was a lot of worker to do that. But we faced a lot of challenges, and I want to share that with you. The first challenge, and I think we all had to deal with that, was that we have trouble to find a suit, to find alcohol, to find gloves, to find mask. And we were really left by the government. We had no help. So every station, every fire brigade had to manage to find that. So it was really, really complicated because we had a lot of intervention, and we used our network. So with school, with technical school who were closed, with enterprise and so on, we ask everybody, do you have a suit to sell us or to give us? And a lot of school, a lot of enterprise send material to us. So it was really a shame that we cannot deal with that on ourselves. But even with that, we had a consumption, a consumption who were very, very high. So we have to improvise, and we reused single-use protective equipment after disinfection with bleach solution and rinsing them, and we reuse them. It's not the purpose, but we didn't have any other choice, or we will send our ambulances like naked. So we figured we thought about a long-term solution, and we find out that polyester washable suits were an option. It's not as good as protective suits like tip 6, but it will do the job, and the most important, we will not be sold out with that. So about the disinfection product, we started with Virkon, with bleach and with alcohol. And one of the early problems that we figured out was that bleach damaged a lot of PPAs and damaged a lot of our carbon monoxide sensor in the ambulances and a lot of sensible material. So we had to change that. And so we just didn't use bleach anymore. We had also a little bit of problem because we used bleach or Virkon in any surfaces in the ambulances. But when you have to rinse it, we are not in a hot country, so in the winter it's a problem, because if you put water on the seats and then you have to let some patient to sit in, it will be a problem. So we had to try other solution. So one of the challenge was to be able to have a single and up-to-date documents, because there were a lot of modification, a lot of version. So we put one document on the intranet, and it was available from everywhere. So it is a big point. You have to find a way to just have one document and not something that you have to search for it. It was very useful to use diagram, to use diagram, because we wrote a big document about the disinfection, but it was not really useful because the man and woman on the field want to see clearly what they are asked to do. We have another problem with waste management. So as you can see, the waste were a lot to deal with. So it was really a lot, and we had trouble in the beginning with that. We needed to file monitoring. You absolutely need reference person. We used our hazmat members to do that, but you really have to have somebody who is looking looking on a daily basis. We have to deal with bad weather too. So in the beginning, it was only tent, but it was not sufficient because we have to provide a shelter from the rain, especially for the ambulances, and some eating. So we try something more ergonomic, more nicer for the ambulances and the team of disinfector. We also reinforced general hygiene. So for all of the non-COVID mission, we put some space clean and dirty to not bring any dirty into the station, to avoid that. We had some trouble with disinfection of other vehicles or other people. So we are also the reference for the Red Cross of Belgium to disinfect their ambulances. And we have already made 600 disinfection for them, but it's not easy because it's not our people, it's not our procedure, and so on. We have to disinfect also ladders who were used to help with some evacuation, for instance. And one of the big challenge were police showing up and say, okay, we think that we just had somebody with COVID in the car, so can you disinfect it? Yes, we can, and we did. But the problem is police men and women were not wearing any PPE. So we were disinfecting their car, but not them. So it was a little bit messy. So it was about the first wave, and then we found that we will be able to breathe a little bit, but no, the second wave hit. And the problem with the second wave was there were no lockdown anymore. So there were less staff available because the firefighter mission were increasing. We had to deal with a lot of accumulated fatigue from our staff. And because of no lockdown anymore, Brussels was more full of people, so a lot of traffic. The way the ambulances had more time to go to an hospital and go back to the station. So we asked for the support from the Belgian army, the CBRN components. We asked them directly if they can help us. We have a lot of contact with them because we are trying to work on a CBRN response for in case of an attack or something like that. So there were they wanted to help from the beginning, but we couldn't do that because the government didn't allow that. But for the second wave, they said yes. So they support us in the second peak. So you can see here that we were not the first peak was never attempt in the second wave, but we had a lot of disinfection. So they put one extra disinfection line, so totally self-sufficient with their own people, their own materials, and so on. And they did more than 400 disinfection here. So it is a little video about this disinfection line. So it is a disinfection line of the army, as you can see. So one of the difference between the army and our this line is that they are using a cartridge mask, and we are not, but they are used to work with that, so it's their choice. So they were using our procedure to have the same lines. Their line and our line were the same, but it is their PPA that they used. So you can see that we are disinfecting with wipes and spray for a lot of surfaces. Only the floor is rinse. So that's for their line. And they also support our line on the headquarters during the day. So during the day, they are doing the shift on the line, and during the night, we take our turn. So they, during the second wave, they made more than 400 disinfection there too. So a total of more than 800 disinfection. So it's a lot. It's a real support, and it's really appreciated. One of the things that we learned, we knew, but you have to keep it super simple, really, because especially when the things are changing so fast and a lot, like it was during the whole year. So you have to keep it intuitive and visual. And we have also some challenge because we are a bilingual station. So we speak French and Dutch. So you have to do you have to put in the two languages. So a lot of images are good. And now, so where are we? As you can see, after the second wave, it was really down, and then since beginning of April, it is increasing. So we ask the army to come back because they were shutting their lines on the end of 2012. So they came back, and at this day they already did more than 400 disinfection for the first for this wave. So they are doing the day, and we are doing the night. So what we learned too is be ready for the worst. You have to put down some criteria for scaling up and scaling down, as we did with the army. So they came, and then they went they went to their they leave, and then they came back. And the most important is to have lines on standby. So if the situation escalated, you can open up really quickly. One of the challenges that we are facing, it is more and more difficult to keep people motivated. There were a lot of COVID-19 cases in our staff, a lot of ills, but nobody died, and everybody came back. And we are, a lot of us are vaccinated too. And so they are really it's really hard to make them wear the mask and be keep on that. It's really hard. So how to fight fatigue negligence? We don't know really. Maybe when the number will scaling down a little bit, we could be able to make the disinfection by the ambulance crew itself. But it's really not easy because we have 9 stations, so it is more difficult to have an eye on the quality and to manage the stock. And when the ambulance has already done I don't know, like 5 or 6 missions in the night, will they really do the disinfection for the 5th time? Or yes, it's really difficult. So for now, we don't want to do that. You have to have a support, a daily support, and the problem is we are on 24-hour shift officer also, so it's really difficult to be to be aware of the change. So one of the good thing would be to have somebody in 8 hours to deal with that, to monitoring the line, the difficulties, the change, and so on. One thing that we learned is that the network is really important. We could not have done that without all of the contact in our AGS CSD team. So it's the advisor for hazardous material in Belgium. And there were a lot of sharing, a lot of good information, experience return, and so on. So it was really a good support. Also with the CTIF women, because we learned a little bit about how the other countries were dealing with that. And of course, with the CBRN company from the Belgian army, it is a real support, and it's really appreciated by our people. So thank you, everybody. And if you have some questions, do not hesitate to send an email at hazmat@firebrew.brussels. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for this interesting presentation. We got in our box one question. It is following: did you and do you have more or less ambulance personnel and firefighters with positive COVID tests compared with the public in Brussels, for example? Did you have any statistics on that?
So the question is, did we have more firefighters sick?
Yeah, positive. Than the average of population in Brussels.
I really don't know, because when we had a lot of firefighter positives, there were no tests in Brussels. So we weren't testing a lot. So I have no idea, really.
Okay.
But we had a lot of firefighters sick.
It's not easy to run this, to check these statistics. And another question just appeared. Did any of your colleagues experience problems with the long COVID or long-term consequences of the illness?
Yes, so we all of the colleagues who were sick returned, but a part of them are experiencing have trouble with their breaths and their sport competencies. So they are not able to run or I don't know, to climb like before. So it seems that there is a lot of long-term consequences.
Thank you. Thank you again.